First of all, I just want to welcome y'all again. Clap your hands, give it up for y'all coming to the Whistle. Second year of the What's Funny Comedy Festival!
Yeah.
Year 2. And what's amazing about this is that this podcast was birthed from the festival. And I've been enjoying everything about What's Funny Comedy today. I've been guest on the show that's here. It's just an amazing podcast. And I think it's gonna keep growing as we keep having all these amazing comedians on here, being honest, showing love. It's been just a really great episodes. I've been enjoying myself. And Knowledge and Sean and the rest of the crew have been doing an amazing job. But tonight is special because we are honoring our What's Funny Festival really icon, honestly, is Mr. Bob Sumner. Y'all give Bob Sumner some love. So we're gonna do the podcast as it usually is done with Knowledge doing his thing. But before we start that, we want to make sure that we give our award to Bob. We got an award. Last year, Mary Lindsay was our recipient. And this year, this dude, I mean, look, once again, like, I was just talking to Sean about this, maybe, just a little while ago, but like Def Jam really started what this whole culture of everything is, especially with black comedians. They didn't have anything to perform on until then. They was all on like, what was it called? The Night at the Improv? That's what it was called? Whatever it was called.
That was one, yeah.
That's when they all had the code switch to do that.
The Sunday comics.
They had Martin sound like, yeah, man. It was that. It was kind of crazy to watch. But Def Jam was where, hey, you can be who you are, what you've been doing. When you saw, we gonna get into that. So, but this dude is a legend.
We're definitely gonna get into it.
Even with me, when I first started, just to get a stamp from Bob was a big deal, and that was a big deal to me. I want to present, me and Knowledge want to present. Thank you so much. We want to present Bob Sumner with the Comedy Icon Award, presented by the What's Funny Comedy Festival, September 15th, 2025. Mr. Bob Sumner, here you go.
Sumner. Give it up.
Know what's so cool about this? Spelled my name right. Seriously.
No.
You know how many emails I get sent back because it didn't, summertime?
Oh my God. They put the double M?
You know how many uniforms? When you had your uniform name? Wow, this is great. Thank you.
Man,
Right,
we appreciate you. We had to do this for you, bro.
This
We
is
appreciate
dope,
you.
too. This is really different.
Yeah, this
this
is not. I don't know what Knowledge got this made at, but it's nice.
Thank you, man.
This is a nice award. This is how an award's supposed to look, and it's heavy, ain't it? That's Oscar weight.
There's more to love than making love, baby. There's more to love than making love.
What's funny comedy?
Yo, you not in our lane, so quit acting like we rockin' the same. What's funny comedy podcast? Are you not entertained? It's time to man up. My live people, put your hands up. From improvisations to stand up, we band up. These haters overheated. We going undefeated. Sit downs and live interviews is what the culture needed. A new monopoly for black comedy.
What's happening? Welcome back to the What's Funny Today show. This is your man, Knowledge Beckham, sitting in the host seat today. But man, we have a special event. This is What's Funny Today show, live from the What's Funny Comedy Festival. We have a live crowd, live audience. Give it up. Let the camera hear you. Appreciate it. So we'll start at the far end. So if you watch this show, this is our resident comedian. He takes a lot of hits for the teams in terms of his hot takes. But anybody who knows Sean, he's a real one, super respected across the board from what he does on stage and makes this podcast what it is. So give it up for Sean Morgan. Next, the homie here needs no introduction. He is on big screens, little screens, everywhere. If you are alive, you are seeing this man put out his greatness. Him and I go back to 2006 when we met. We had a great partnership for about 7 or 8 years when he was in Chicago. We launched him. He went to New York, LA, and the rest is history, and he's still doing amazing things. If you did not check out, unfortunately, you missed it, but we've had 2 screenings during the festival, one for a movie he has that is out now called Code 3. Make sure you all go check that out. And then also, we just did yesterday screening of a new movie that he has, and he executive produced called Unexpected Christmas, which is an amazing, soul foolish type movie that you all will enjoy. So make sure you check that out. Give it up for my brother Lil Rel. And last but not least, the reason that this worked out is that each year in the festival, the What's Funny Comedy Festival, we like to honor an icon in comedy. And it really gets no bigger than my man, right? Like, this goes back, didn't even have any idea who Bob Sumner was. I knew Russell Simmons, but I didn't know Bob, right? But I'm in high school, and me and my guys, every night, we're tuning in to HBO to see something that this man has created. So when you talk about a full circle moment and being able to honor somebody who impacted us all, because there's not any of us who didn't watch Def Comedy Jam, and all of the folks that we know today kind of came through this man's eyes. And so super excited to talk with him today. Give it up one more time for Bob Sumner. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. So Bob, I'm sure, has a lot to share. But before we get into that, Rel, I want to throw it to you. You've been in the comedy game for 25 years. Give us your thoughts about Bob and just how he's actually impacted the culture when it comes to Black comedy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's interesting. When you think about how, like, the internet and everything exists now, where you go see people on YouTube or Instagram and all that stuff, it was people like him that actually had to go to the clubs to see the comics. And when you think about at that time, you know, and he'll tell you more about this, but you talking about like places like the Cotton Club in Chicago, that's downtown, that Bernie was at, and the Peppermint, which is so crazy that all these things had these candy names. But the Peppermint in New Jersey, and he's like, you had to go to these places to find the comics. And if you think about it too, like, it wasn't clubs like Jokes and Notes and all, none of that stuff existed for Black comics yet. So it was just these spots, and he had to go find these comics like around the country. It was kind of like, it's weird because it's like, it's almost like when you watch those like movies like about Motown and stuff like that, like they had to find an act, but people came to Motown, they just start singing in front of Berry Gordy in front of that. Like, I gotta ask you that, Bob, did that in the beginning, was it like that? Was it comics just running up and you just start telling jokes because they knew who you was?
Can I first say what I was getting ready to say?
He was thinking about it the whole time too. I can see it. You gave him this intro, he was just like,
Bob ain't heard nothing we said.
No, I heard every can we cuss?
yeah, say whatever you
I
want.
heard every motherfucking thing y'all said. Nah, but seriously, I just wanted to say we're gonna get into that for real. And see, what I have to do right now is, because it's been such a ride, I'm gonna take you all the way to the beginning, you know, of it, so you can understand how it all went down. But before all of that, I just wanna thank y'all again for having me here, because when Knowledge called and asked me to come through here, you know, we looked at the dates and everything, and I saw what would work for me, okay? But in the meantime, last Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning, I received a phone call that my best friend from kindergarten, played in the same backcourt in high school, right? We're best friends, passed away. And I'm trying to figure out, how can I get to Chicago and get back for the home? My whole thing was, when is the home going? Because I knew I had to be here. And God has put me in a place where I'm out of here on the 18th, and the homegoing is on Saturday. So, you know, just keep me in your prayers, man.
Absolutely.
Because this is like my best, like, you know that guy that you grew up with and y'all did everything?
Yeah.
It's like that. So y'all have me here helping me get through this. And I just applaud y'all for that. Now, Let me take you there,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
Okay. This is real talk. This is real talk. I get a job, and this is just a little bit of the whole how Def Comedy Jam came about, and it's some things prior to that, because when so many people talk about the Peppermint, it was a couple other spots before the Peppermint. The Peppermint was the place that became popular because the second week of the after the Def Comedy Jam premiere, I left a place called Club 88 in East Orange, and I went to the Peppermint, and it's a whole story to that.
That was after Def Jam came out. The Peppermint was like
The Peppermint was the week after Def Jam came out.
So the week after it was that popping that.
No, it wasn't that popping. I'm gonna tell you the story.
Okay, I'm asking. This is a conversation.
It wasn't that the Peppermint was popping
Right.
at all. The Peppermint was a place, because I graduated from Seton Hall University, and the Peppermint wasn't far from there, and that was a place where our parents and stuff used to hang out, or they might have a Mother's Day show with Bobby Womack or somebody.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those type spots, but because I was on the radio in college, I used to come over there and do some things. So that's how I ended up at the Peppermint. But I actually was at Club 88 with Bill Bellamy.
That's what I was about to
all right?
ask you, yep.
But before Club 88 and Bill Bellamy, we were at another place. I was at a place called Terminal D. That's where it all started. And I was the DJ there playing at the comedy show. And that's how I put Kid Capri on Def Comedy.
Wait,
Jam.
you was the DJ at the comedy show.
It was my comedy show, and I had records because I was on the radio. Like I was a DJ before any of this. You know what I'm saying? So a whole lot happened, but so it was a lot going on before all of that. However, in 1989, 1989, around that time, I got a job at Def Jam Records. Okay, I'm working as assistant to the president at the record company, right? But I'm still in 1985, 86, 87. That's when I started doing this comedy thing, right? And then in 1988, Bill Bellamy had just graduated from Rutgers, and he came down to Terminal D, and a lot of the Uptown Comedy Club comedians, they all used to come there and do comedy and stuff. And it was a time where, like, when we first started, like Shaquille O'Neal's uncles and everybody, they was all North Police. They all used to hang in there. And the place went from 6 people to standing room only. It'd be on Tuesday nights. And then you know how the club owners start feeling like they the ones that did the shit, right? I'm dead ass serious.
Yeah.
They started acting like that, and I saw the writing on the wall, and I started paying attention to all of the young comedians, and everybody knew me as a DJ. Even at this one club, I used to make cassettes for the manager. So I used to come see them a lot, and they knew I was packing this joint down here. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna just leave here and show them that I did this shit, right? And I looked at all these comedians. Bill Bellamy had just graduated from Rutgers, and I said, I'm taking you with me. And I made him the host because he needed a place to, become whatever he became. So that's where we started rocking out. But at the same time, I wasn't even thinking about Def Comedy Jam. I was just working for the record company, right? And then all of a sudden, Stan Lathan and Russell started talking about they were gonna do some TV projects, and Stan took a liking to me after they had tried some other things, and that's when I started building the Def Comedy Jam brand, okay?
Wow.
But while all of that was going on, there were different comedians that would come perform, at the clubs that I was doing on the underground. And one day there was a duo named Arsenal and Mitchell, okay? And Mitchell's son actually is a wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts now, right? Wow. But Mitchell and them, they were like my guys. So I got a phone call from them because they had a young lady who wanted to come play my room in Jersey, in New York. I was doing rooms. Her name was Adele Givens. Okay, I had never, didn't know Adele, and it was crazy because Adele came. I was driving a little Toyota Corolla. I never forget. And I picked her up at the Port Authority, right, in New York. And she had a big ass trunk. I'm like, how long you plan on staying? First of all, let me see if I could fit this in this fucking Toyota, right? And, you know, she came to the, and she was killing the game, right? So now, in the meantime, I get a call from Russell that they are interested in doing a comedy show, right? And Stan, they're interested in doing a comedy show, and they already know I'm doing this underground thing at Club 88. So I started having people come through there and looking at people. I kind of had an idea what I was going to do, but it couldn't just be a New York, New Jersey type thing. We was going to make this thing national, okay? Where's the best place to start? Let me call Adele, and let me see if it's somebody in Chicago I need to, who can help me do a showcase in Chicago. She said she had a friend named Bernie. I called her friend. Talking to Bernie, Bernie said he's at a place called Spices at the time.
Yeah.
Okay? So he's at Spices, and this is where it gets really good because, and Bernie actually, in his first book, I didn't even know he had talked about this particular time, but this is what happened. So I called Bernie. And I told Bernie that I'm getting ready to do this new show. I don't even know what the name of it is. Now you see everywhere you turn around, it's a comedy jam. Everything's a comedy jam. Yeah. We'll talk about that too. All right. I should have got a license on that. Right. But anyway, so I tell Bernie that we're getting ready to do this show, and I already have New York and everything on lock. But I want to like move around, and I identified Chicago, DC, Atlanta, and a couple other, Miami might have been a city, and of course the Comedy Act Theater in LA. So Bernie said he could put something together for me. I said, cool, but I need to go to Atlanta to work at this convention for Def Jam called Jack the Rapper. There used to be a convention called Jack the Rapper. So Bernie says to me, he says, I'm gonna be in Atlanta, right? I said, where? He said, the Comedy Act Theater. I'm like, I thought the Comedy Act Theater was in LA. He said, no, they have one in Atlanta as well. So I said, cool. So when I'm finished doing my work for Def Jam, I'm gonna come over to the theater and meet you, this, that, and the other, right? Yo, now we ain't have cell phones at the time. But I could not wait to get on that hotel phone. I ain't give a fuck how high the bill was gonna be. I needed to call Bill Bellamy, okay? Because I had just witnessed the funniest person I ever saw. His name was Bernie Mac, okay? No, this is real talk. This is real talk. I said, wow. I said, Bill, we off to the races, bro. I said, Bill, wait till you see this dude, okay? So to make a long story short, now I'm setting up the first showcase with Bernie, all right? And I had to laugh when I was coming out here today and I got on Michigan Ave and we rode past the Congress Hotel, okay? Because I never forget, when they picked me up, Bernie was with, his guy was driving. And they was driving in the same Toyota Corolla I had. The same one that I picked Adele, they had one just like it. And Bernie wanted, before they took me to the hotel, because they had just watching the Bears was hot at that time. This is 1991, okay? And they was watching the game, then they came, to pick me up and everything. And Bernie wanted to stop and get some Miller Genuine Draft. I never forget this, right? Before they take me to the hotel. So I ride past the hotel. I ride past the hotel today, and I just laughed because what happened was when they dropped me off at the hotel, and it was on Michigan Ave, and Lake Michigan is across the street, and I'm like, damn, this is my first time in Chicago, right? I said, I can't wait to open up my window and just look out there, right? Bernie hadn't pulled off yet, right? I called, right? come get me. Because I'm not staying in this room. I pulled the blinds back. It was a brick wall. It was a brick wall. I mean, it was like, yo, y'all don't even know how I roll. I'm from Def Jam, yo. We do it big. You know what I mean? It's like crazy. So they came back and picked me up and took me to the Intercontinental. Right? That was so cool. And then when we get the Spices and we get ready to do this thing with Evan Lionel, Ron Baker Jr.
That's what I was about to ask. Who was on that list?
Right, I'm telling you, it's these dudes, right? But there was the guy who was with Bernie, right? He was doing the taping for me and everything. And they put me, I didn't really know Bernie, but they put me in this booth, right, by myself. And then some lady came in and Bernie and us asked me, could the lady sit here? And when she looked at me and I looked at her, right, she said, Bob? I said, Phyllis? It was Phyllis Hyman.
Wow.
It was Phyllis. I knew Phyllis from my Seton Hall days from the Black Student Union and the radio. I used to do shows and stuff. So Phyllis and I sat there at the first Def Comedy Jam audition ever, okay? Right. And the guy who kept the, was doing the camera and stuff for me, the next time, because Def Jam had done so well, I get a call from Ray Lambert, right? And they want to open up a comedy club and using the Def Comedy Jam comedians and stuff. And they open up this place called All Jokes Aside. Okay, that's when this place happened. But at the same time, now they haven't, because I'm traveling the country, I'm coming back to, I don't have to go to Spices now. I could go to All Jokes Aside, right? I get to All Jokes Aside, and the dude that was taping is the host. I'm like, you never said you was a comedian. It was George Wilburn.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, so I put him on the next season immediately. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
crazy.
But George could have been on that first season. The one take me out to the ball game and all that. Yeah. But that's why I say Def Comedy Jam was built in Chicago. You heard me? And then, and just to add a little bit more to it, the first tour show that we ever had was at the Chicago Theater. And that's when we found out who Bishop Don Juan was. I can't make this up, but one last thing before, since I'm there, and we'll continue this, but now I have the show and Bernie's hosting and Adele's on the show. It's cold as hell out there, right? But the show's about to start and we're on that side, you know, that side door at the Chicago Theater, the backstage door. Bill Bellamy and I are standing there, and this is our first tour show ever, right? And the door opens up, and this big dude walks in, right? And, you know, everybody happy to see him. It was Richard Dent, right? So we're like tripping. This is Richard Dent, right? So somebody else is coming behind Dent. This dude was playing baseball for the White Sox. It was Bo Jackson. Like, and I'm looking like, what the hell is going on here? It's like a Forrest Gump moment, you know? So that happened. So Bill and I is like looking at this going, this is deep. So then this other dude comes in, right? And he has on some black slacks and this dope ass blazer, right? And then he pats Bill on the back and he goes, what's going on, Bill? Right? Bill looked at me. Now, this is Bill Bellamy now, who now been on MTV later on. But at this time, Bill wasn't really used to whatever gigs we was doing in Jersey and shit, right? Bill Bellamy looked at me, and Bill said, Bob, Michael Jordan knows my name. I can't make this up. So those were some of the, that was the beginning of Chicago for me.
Can I ask you something? Because it's actually a couple questions with that too. Because Def Jam, the format of it, right? The way the crowd was set up with that audience, you know, so close, and the way that stage was, like, was that more or less because that's the spot y'all used, or was that something y'all really like did intentionally? That
was the incredible Stan Lathan. Stan Lathan had been in the game. Give it up for Stan. Stan had been in the game, you know, and he knew what to do, how to do it. And the crazy part about this is how dope Def Comedy Jam was then and still remnants of Def Comedy Jam is still happening. And how it's really happening is all them damn Emmy Awards that David and Stan done won. You know, that's how Dave Chappelle met Stan at Def Comedy Jam. And when Dave was doing his first special, of course, he was gonna bring Stan on, and they have made beautiful music. Yeah.
Wow. Because, you know, because like that, it was so personal, right? And I need you to do this for me too, because I guess not rumor has it, but when y'all first was developing Def Jam, it was Robin Harris was supposed to host, correct?
That was wishful thinking, because when we were first starting to put Def Comedy Jam together, nobody knew nothing from nothing, you know? But at the same time, if we were going to do a show, at that time, Robin is who we had in mind, but we were still a long way from that. And then Bebe Kids came out, and then Robin was gone. You know what I mean? And the crazy part about that is that was during the same time that House Party was popping, you know, all during that time. And those guys had a tribute to Robin. They had a tribute to Robin, and you had the In Living Color comedians and all those guys. They were the ones popping at the time, and they had this other guy on the bill named Martin Lawrence. You know what I mean? And that's when I saw this, and I hit Russell and Stan, and they checked with Eddie and Arsenio, and HBO was looking to do something with Martin because he only had a special. He had a half-hour special.
Wait, okay.
Right.
So let's
The
go
one
back
like
to that for a second.
Come on now.
Now, my bad. But so you was at a show. They had all the living color people there, basically. And Martin was like just like the.
He was the one of the yeah, but he
wasn't where they were at,
no,
right?
And he fit what we do. That's why I was
That's
able to
crazy.
do. That's why when you look at Def Comedy Jam and you look at all those superstars now, from the Kings of Comedy, Queens of Comedy, the Chris Tuckers and all that, I saw something in them that nobody saw, you know? And that's why, like right now, I traveled. I was in Chicago already after the pandemic. I got a list right now that if somebody call me and say they want to do a new version, and I'm not talking about social medians. I'm talking about guys that's been in the rooms trying to do. And then you also have comedians who are vets now that wasn't vets then, like Michael Collin and J. Anthony Brown and even Bernie. Them guys was already kind of established, and that's why they kind of stood out, you know? And now you have the same thing with the Tony Tones and the J.J. Williamsons and the Tommy Chungs. Them dudes was youngins then, but they still funny as hell now, but nobody really knows who they are because everybody got caught up into just who they see on TV, who was on Friday movies and all that stuff.
Let me jump on this,
interesting.
Bob.
Come on.
Because this is a conversation I want to get into. I want to toss it over to Sean. So you guys are talking about platforms, right? That's what Rel and I are trying to do at the festival. You all did it with Def Jam. For comedians like that, right? Have been in the game 20 years, 25 years, that maybe came on the tail end of Def Jam, tail end of Comic View, like platforms. Sean, talk a little bit about the platforms that are available today and how you navigate that as someone who's been in the game for 25 years. You have the comedic chops, right? You're respected across the country, but there are no Def Jams, right? There are no Comic Views. How do you navigate that world?
It's tough, you know, because Bob just nailed it. It's become more of a popularity contest than actual talent. Like, I'm used to Jokes and Notes where they didn't have anybody on the flyer and it was crowded every week because they just trusted that
quality.
Mary was gonna have
right.
funny people there. And so now you have
Give it up for that.
you have these comedy clubs that are basically just reaching, you know, for the easy money instead of, you know, the more talented people that's out here. So it kind of put people like me, Ray Lapowski, for lack of, you know, and that's my friend. So I don't know how everybody feel about him, but he's my friend. But it put people like me, him, Tyler Craig, Marcus Combs, it put us in this weird vortex, right? Because we was too young for Def Jam. I remember when I said I want to be a comedian, I just turned 21, and all jokes aside, and Jasmine's was what was cracking back then. They had just closed, so by the grace of God, through Sidney McCurdy, Bob, Tina, Ricky Hughes, like they seen something in me and they put me on certain things. So that helped because it established a foundation. So even though I'm not a household name amongst people, the Bobs and the Rels and the Kevin Harts, like they all still know who I am. So that's how I'm able to exist, because I'm still in the room with those people. Now, if that changes, like if by, not saying nothing negative, but if Kevin Hart and all them fall off and I gotta depend on the Bubba Dub, I'm fucked. Though none of them niggas know who I am. So I'm just happy that the Mike Epps and all these people still are around. And hopefully Bob, somebody comes along and revamp something. Maybe Bob will agree with this. But I feel like the reason that Def Jam was magical, okay. I feel like, I'm gonna end it, it's quick. I feel like the reason Def Jam was magical was because it was unknown people with hunger. And that hunger showed in their sets. You know what I mean? It wasn't coming back with not Def Jam, but Comic View and, some more hosts, and I love some more. But she touring, so she not going to give you her tour jokes for this sitcom. So I think that if we go back to that basic, that we won't have to navigate because the comedy circuit can resurge with hunger. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I want to toss a premise out that you've had and said on podcasts. Sean says a lot of shit on the podcast, so I agree with a lot of it, but it's a good perspective. I'd love to hear Bob and Rel. So Sean has a premise that nobody, and if I'm wrong, correct me if I say it wrong, nobody has made it off of stand-up in how many years?
No comedian.
Or restate it.
No comedian has made it off comedy since the Def Jam and Comic View era. Like right at the end, when they start having Bruce dance, that's when that shit was over.
Can I?
So Arvin Mitchell would probably be the last star from that era.
Let me address something, and I have to be clear about this. And I just finished saying that I traveled around the country right after the pandemic because I listened to JB Smoove on Shannon's show. I listened to Chris Tucker on T.I.'s podcast, and they were all talking about can they get back to them golden years of what Def Jam did. The truth of the matter is it was a formula. Like I said, I traveled the country. I didn't go to just Hollywood and New York. I brought Hollywood and New York to Milwaukee. I brought it to Birmingham, and I saw Roy Wood Jr. You know what I mean? I saw Ricky Smiley. You dig? And the thing is, all of the comedians that really made it off of Comic View were all hosts who you first saw on Def Comedy Jam. You dig? And I'm gonna be straight up with you. All those comedians that used to be on Comic View every night, okay? Because you got 5 nights with all these comedians. How could you have a show full of quality? Now, they making you laugh and giggle and all that, but I'm telling you, on Monday and Tuesday after Def Jam aired on Friday and Saturday, from Monica Swan to Alexa Fogel to Robbie Reed to Kim Coleman, they were all calling me. That's how Chris Tucker got the Friday. It wasn't through a casting. It was these people sitting here watching quality performances. And I'm prepared to do it again. And like I said, with the vets who are now vets who were youngins then, along with it's some fresh talent out here, right here in Chicago, that I already know. I saw a guy who's older now, but I had never seen him a day in my life, and he was a clean comedian here. And when I talk about it, I said, I can't wait to find a place for him, and I hope nobody hate on it. But this dude named Stephen Rackett or something, Stefan Rackett, that cat is funny as hell. Yeah. But nobody really knows who he is, and it's other comedians too. But I'm not saying like, Comic View was cool for me because there was comedians that I didn't have a place for them because I'm trying to find stars, not just funny people. And the other part, and this is very important in terms of how I work, and excuse me for this, but I don't care how talented you are, your character is very, very important because when I'm doing a production, we have craft services, we have wardrobe, we have makeup. And I can't have your ass driving my staff crazy and they don't want to work all day again. You know what I mean? So just don't think that it's all about you and your talent. You got to look at everything that comes with it. Cool?
Facts. So I love that, Bob. Appreciate that insight. Real. How do you respond to that? So you're someone who made it after the era. Kind of give some insight into your journey for those that don't know how you got to the level you got to out of these Chicago comedy clubs and Chicago streets.
Well, that's why I like too, and it's tough, Sean, because I understand what you're saying too about people blowing up from comedy, but like, that's what I did.
Okay, you do know this show is a no cap zone.
Let me finish what I'm saying. The reason why I'm actually just interested because it's funny that even with me saying that and you sitting here, we all work in the same circuit. Sometimes we get too familiar with people, right? You started with me, you saw me broke as hell, living in Harvey. That's all you think about, right? You don't realize we all did the same shit. Now, the difference was, and this is where I want all y'all to hear this, you got to learn the fucking business. The business. That is one thing, every podcast, everything we hear people talk about all the time, either they talk about you sold out or did some crazy shit. Some of us just do really good business. And it's because of people like Mary Lindsay, who I love to death, because Mary taught me business. She taught me how to run a fucking night. Because to be honest with you, I hear it's weird because I think some things come back in this rotation, right? The reason why we started this festival, you know, and Knowledge will tell you this, when me and him talked about this in LA, what was it, over a year ago, almost now, 2 years ago. And he brought this up to me and it was just kind of like showcases, really. And I was like, fuck that, let's do a real festival because I felt passionate about sharing knowledge. You know, real, not knowledge, but knowledge. Pause, I guess. I don't know. Pause. Sure, guys. But honestly, it's you know, because it's like, I think you have the opportunity to create something that used to exist. When I hear Bob telling these stories about, you know, a lot of these cats, where Bernie had these rooms and stuff like that, the era of everybody begging to be a headliner at these comedy clubs that really don't mess with black comics. They use black comedians. The improvs, the funny, but I don't give a fuck about saying it. They did.
Yeah.
Right?
They did.
Yeah.
They let you have a night there, right? And then they start telling you, I'm gonna book you and get you in these rooms. And as soon as they got the audience, because they do that with black people all the time. It's happened with network TV. It's the same fucking format. Even with movies, like, you know, people talk about like the Dolomites and all that shit. If it wasn't for those movies, the black exploitation films saved Hollywood. Yeah. Point blank fucking period.
Can I just say something to you real quick about y'all dope ass festival that I see, and I can't wait to see what's rocking tomorrow and the next day. I want to say this: Deion Cole, Corey Holcomb, Corey Holcomb, Mike Epps, and Craig Robinson. Okay, I took all because I couldn't take everybody at once because on Def Comedy Jam, and I didn't even know Mike was from Indianapolis at this time. I saw him in I saw him in Chicago when they was having one of them festival competitions things. And I took all of them and gave them that opportunity, and that was because I was able to come and see them. You know what I mean? And that's what you guys are bringing that thing back. So again, I applaud y'all for this, and that's how it goes.
Well, Bob, that's why I love hearing what you said about how you have a list of comics, right? Like even just, and I'm telling y'all business again, and this is crazy, but when I shot that special last year at the festival, that was independently, okay? I put my bread up with the 2 people that go to my church and I mentor their son, helped me pay for that special to get done. And I used the local filmmakers here to help me do that. Okay, so I had a game plan before I even did that. I was watching Tubi like a crazy person, and I'm just like, yo, Tubi is the new, Tubi got the streets. Like, who wouldn't, it'd be smart for somebody to put an original special here. So I have my manager, and I don't want to, Ivy in the bill, shout out to Ivy. But I'm like, and I know he probably thought I was crazy at the time, like, yo, I need a meeting with Tubi. And he's like, okay. And I met with them about this way before I shot that special, way before I even knew I was going to do it, even way before I knew the festival. Just discussing with them like, yo, let me curate your comedy shit. He's like, what you mean? I want to be an executive over here.
Yo, Tubi playing Def Comedy Jam like it's brand fucking new.
But that's smart because they're like the new bootleg man in a way, right?
It is.
And people forget the bootleg man made stars. People could talk shit about the bootleg man. The bootleg man was selling your movies, your stand-up sets. He'd be like, man, I got that, blah, blah. He could do your bit. You'd be like, oh shit, this is gonna be a good Cat Williams thing. He just told me the joke. And so, but I'm saying Tubi represents that. What I'm saying is we just gotta take advantage. Like a lot of times people love to talk stuff like all these Tubi movies, this and that, but all the eyes are there. That's what I saw. Then I started looking at the numbers because I love business, and they got like the most subscriptions out of all these streamers. So I was like, shit, I need to know. So when I made the deal with them, I'm their first original special, but it's a guinea pig because I want to do more specials with y'all. It's all tied to this festival.
Know what Tubi remind me of? Tubi reminds me of Blockbuster. You go in there and just try shit out.
Yeah, I mean it's. But then once again, it goes back to business, and just to go back to that, like I did all the comedy stuff. It wasn't I didn't skip any steps, to be honest with you. I did all the showcases. A lot of us did the same. It's so many niggas that did the same shit with me, which I think sometimes if I get offended by anybody saying some crazy shit, but I'm like, no, I literally had the most normal route you could. I'm the most regular. Whatever you think it is, you can think of, right?
Can I interject?
Work. Go ahead.
Okay. No one said you didn't put in the work.
No, I didn't. No one said that. But that's not what I was saying, Sean. But I made it from stand-up.
No,
it literally was from stand-up comedy. It wasn't just me.
Cap-free zone, bro. Cap-free zone is this. You are a household name. You are a household name because of your films, bro, which we are proud of you. But the Big Black Comedy Show, I'm going to tell you, this is true. The Big Black Comedy Show, Volume 3, me and you was on there right now on Tubi, since you brought up Tubi. And there were people who called me and was like, I didn't know that nigga from Get Out was a stand-up comedian. That's just a lot of people know you from the film.
Okay, so no, you said no cap zone. You said
right,
no,
okay, but you are a comedian.
Hold on. But here we go. This is why a lot of us see things differently. But I'm about to break something down to you.
So let me answer this.
No, Sean, let me do it. I got you, bro.
Okay.
Kevin Hart wasn't a household fucking name from stand-up. But let me tell you this. Now, hold on. To get in these movies, these fucking TV shows, you showcase as a stand-up fucking comic.
Yes.
So you make it from comedy.
But that's not where the fame came from.
But I'm trying to tell you, sir, I think a lot of times, I think we be wanting to skip steps so quick. Thinking that's how this shit.
I think you misunderstand what I'm saying.
Sean, I understand exactly what you said.
You are a good comedian who got opportunities.
Sean, what I'm saying is from stand-up. But what I'm saying is that's the farm system. The only thing that's missing now from back in the day is the system. It's like what he just said.
Right.
They went to Def Jam because Def Jam was oversaturated like Comic View was.
Right.
So you can actually go and that's why all them dudes were stars. Because it was a limited
That's exactly my point. When you say Bernie Mac, you think kick it. Like you think different things and you associate people making it from stand-up because you remember the show.
But here we go. This is where we get confused at. That still didn't make Bernie Bernie was a star in our neighborhoods.
Right, no doubt.
When he became a star, it's because of stand-up, but it's because of the other things, right? The movies and all the other stuff, correct?
Right.
So it's all started from comedy. What I'm saying is like, I don't think I think the world that we keep thinking exists that somebody just only blows up from stand-up is not fucking possible. Cat Williams didn't just blow up from stand-up.
and that was
most
the
people saw
point.
him on Friday first, then you saw him do stand-up.
Right, that's the point.
No, I hear what Sean. I guess shit.
Welcome to the What's Funny Today
At the
show.
end of the day, at the end of the day, this is if you watch the podcast, you have seen me say it.
I seen you say it.
If you look at most of the household names today, you know them from film and going back to stand up. Right? That's the point that I'm making. I'm not saying that you're not a good stand-up. Cat was a good stand-up. That's how he got seen to do Friday. Mike Epps was a good stand-up. That's how he got seen to do Friday. But nobody knew them until they did Friday. That's what I'm saying.
Who do you think
I'm
blew up
saying
from stand-up?
From the Def Jam era, you knew people names because of Def Jam synonymously. It wasn't because they went off and did shit. When you seen Chris Tucker, it was like, oh, that's Buddy from Def Jam. Now it's the opposite. Now you see a nigga doing stand-up and be like, oh, that's Buddy from so and so.
Let's do this Sean, real quick, because this is a conversation I've wanted you two to have.
Yeah.
We still have to have our episode with Rel, so we're going to put a pin in this and finish this conversation. But since Bob is here, I want to make sure something that always comes up. I know that we have a couple of content creators in the room, and make sure we keep it, low too, because we're recording.
No, y'all need that. That's what's gonna make this crazy. No, I'm sorry.
How you gonna get that?
You know what I'm thinking though? I'm thinking of this real quick.
Yep.
As they're talking about how you get to where you get to, this, that, and the other, I just keep thinking about, when Bernie and George came to pick me up to take me to Spices, right? Bernie did what he did, but Bernie needed to get home so he could get ready for his shift at Wonder Bread.
Yeah, facts.
Okay? I know, I'm dead ass serious.
Nah, there. He worked there, Docs.
But it became a situation that when we had that platform with Def Comedy Jam, right, I was able to create a tour off of that, okay? Now, with that being said, when we was doing the Def Comedy Jam tour, everybody was expecting to see Martin Lawrence on tour, right? Martin was going out by himself. He was that popular that he wasn't checking for us. We're gonna have to figure it out ourselves, and I figured it out very easily. I made Bernie Mac the host, okay? So now Bernie is the host, so he gets an opportunity to do his thing, right? He did his thing so well that those same theaters that we was selling out, he started selling them out himself, okay? And that's how, when we were supposed to do the Def Comedy Jam reunion, the promoters changed it to the Kings of Comedy, right? And the reason they made it the Kings of Comedy is because Steve and Cedric and DL had shows, but Bernie was so dope as the hottest stand-up comedian, they put him on. And that's why when the Kings of Comedy and Bernie started talking about everybody had a show but him, and then he ended up getting a show, and that's when he just elevated into becoming not just a TV star, but a movie star. Yeah. So it's elements to it, but you just gotta let it stay in its place.
Well, that's what I was about to say too, Bob, just real quick. Like, a lot of times I think we look at it from this perspective of like, when you was a kid at home watching it, and then you start doing it, and then I think you kind of mix in all that. Look, Bernie was one of those cats who stood out because he was Bernie Mac, and people remember. If you think about it, on the Real Talk side, until Friday came out, even though people knew Chris Tucker was Chris Tucker, they didn't know his name. Yeah, he was, what's up, man? And so my point of saying that is nobody was a household name for real.
And this is what you don't know.
Def Jam, but Def Jam brand, the brand was strong. And real quick, Bob, even just talking about what Comic View did after that, that's just what business does. Once you create something like a Def Jam, you knew everybody else was gonna try to find their own version of whatever that was and almost water it down. It happens it happens with movies, it happens with TV shows. It's just gonna be a version of, like, you think about the Cosby Show, nobody talks about this, but if you look at all the family shows that was made right after that you don't even remember anymore, that was trying to be like the Cosby Show, that is what happened. They couldn't do it.
Let me give you this one tidbit that is really tripping me out when I'm thinking about the whole Bernie too. Bernie was popular and he was doing his thing to a point where we shot a sitcom for Bernie with Adele, and I was out in Chicago a couple years ago, and I went to a restaurant called Pearls.
Pearls, yeah.
And that was actually the name of the sitcom. I got it on VHS. I'm dead ass serious. So it's like, you know, the opportunities were there, but nobody really bit. But once Bernie, that big platform that Kings of Comedy gave him, that's when the Bernie Mac show happened.
Bernie's brilliant, but Bernie represent, like, you really just saying what you want to do. If you want these people to see you, like him saying that on the Kings of Comedy, like literally when they in their little circles, like, y'all ain't gonna give me a show. He just challenged them.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that was brilliant. It's so brilliant.
It was the smartest and most opportune thing to do. Like, he seized the moment.
And he turned his stand-up into the sitcom.
Right.
You know?
It was such a brilliant
point of view.
Which honestly, you saying something today that's so powerful, which is why, like, I think we're in an opportune time to recreate. I do believe we can recreate. I think it's actually hunger for it. The problem is the studios and networks don't want to invest into comedy for real no more. They really don't believe in it. They don't even believe in it when it comes to the movies. This is why you don't see a lot of comedies go to the movie theaters anymore. They don't think it's gonna make any money. But then what One of Them Days did this year, which was great, that it helped a lot, because that was shot with like a $10, $15 million budget. They made like 40, 50 million. That's a big deal to do. And it's showing them, like, but made it even more unique, it was black. And I think, even what I did last year with the special, I just want all of us to be okay. Like Niche gets it, like shooting your stuff independent. Even if things don't do what it do at first, just do another one. Just keep doing them. Don't stop doing them. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't gonna happen right away. Sometimes some things is just for a learning lesson. You know what I'm saying? You look, okay, I know how to sell this now. I know how to do this now. I know how to shoot it now. I know how much it costs. That's what we on right now. And it's not like you got to use these huge budgets. All my HBO specials I shot at least was like 6 to 7 figures just to shoot it. I shot that special last year for $50,000. And it looks exactly the way I want it to, and it's exact, because I know how to shoot now. I know filmmaking. And so I just took all that knowledge. Then, like, let's think about Chicago real quick, just real quick. Resources. They're here. They're here. Y'all need to, like, comics, link up with these independent filmmakers. Star in their movies. Network with them. They're looking for actors. Don't walk around here like you the shit. Humble yourself and work on these people's fucking movie. You understand what I'm saying? All right, that's it.
No, that's good.
I want to ask y'all a question.
Yeah.
Is there another Jokes and Notes like happening? Like, is there? Because I mean, that place. I remember when I saw The Freshmen, what they called. That was Chris Redd and them. He had a little group of comedians and stuff.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, you saw me at Jokes and Notes, didn't you?
That was at Jokes and Notes, yeah. And that's what it was like. I would like be able to dip in there and see a plethora of stand-up comedians. And I'm just wondering, do they have anything like that?
We
I
don't
want
even
knowledge
have
to speak on that.
But
though.
it can happen. It need to happen.
Yeah, we don't even have, and we addressed this before. Mary closing Jokes and Notes left a gaping hole in Chicago comedy because we didn't know what to do. When she left, there's still no Fridays. There's still no Saturdays. There's still, like, we don't have weekend comedy anymore.
But
so
this is what
to just start there would be a start.
But this is what I see, and I'm gonna say this because I was shooting something in Atlanta, and I ran into a club owner in Atlanta, and I said, "Yo, what's going on with the fresh new stand-ups? Why are you having all these, I call them social medians? Like, why are you having all these social medians in there?"
You don't like the social media?
No, I don't. I'm gonna tell you what he said to me. No, what he said to me is that because they have followers and my place is about food and alcohol. These joints are restaurants. You know what I mean? And they just trying to pack. They don't give a what is on that stage. You know what I mean? And that's why it's been a real difficult, way. But don't give up, because it's coming back. I think it's coming back real soon.
And Knowledge, you could be honest about this, because we talk about this all the time, but that's why I'm tossing it to you on this. But why do you think that doesn't exist for real?
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna say what you want me to say, because we have a number of conversations, but there is no jokes and notes. And from my perspective, here's the challenge. When I met Rel, you don't need to do the math, but when I met Rel back in like 2006, it was a different environment. I was a younger dude, and I can take more risk and I can let shit bubble and grow over time. I really don't have that now, right? So even when you look at this festival, and me and Rel built this festival, he talked about me doing showcases. What I was gonna do is get investors, raise as much money as I can, and bring earthquake, so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, because at the end of the day, I got more time behind me than in front of me. So the whole thing of doing it for the culture and helping comics, that was him. Meaning like that was the time that I had with him. I don't feel like I had that time now, right? I want the yacht, I want this, I want that. And so that's the easier path, right? It's never easy promoting, right? And getting asses in seat. But I can take these brands that people know, right? If I want to go maybe on a less expensive path, then what Bob just said, then I know we have some content creators in the crowd here, and I'm gonna take it down to its most basic level. If I look at the podcast, my producer, he does this on the love. If he charged me what he charges to do this, I couldn't afford it. So there is no podcast. So everything that I'm doing that Rel loves and people watch week to week, that's for the culture, I wouldn't be able to do it because there's a cost. So when I look at the numbers of the podcast, and the content creators and so forth, I need people to watch it. Well, guess who watches, like if I look at my top 3, in addition to being comedians or social medians, who do you think has the most views? People that are super active online, right? So at the end of the day, we can make the best episodes possible, but if only 100 people seeing it, it ain't really working for them, and it's not working for me. And so I think if you're trying to start a comedy club today, which me and Rel have now talked and looked at 2 or 3 times in the city, I'm always a little bit concerned is, do we get choked out before we get there? Because folks that are not comedians that go and attend shows, et cetera, you may go look and see, are they popping online? And if they're not popping online, or maybe a last TV appearance was 2006, 2007, they're amazing comedians, you may not plug in. And if you don't plug in, then yeah, it may have a 6 or 8 month run, but at some point I'm gonna shut down because the business is not there. So I don't know if that's what you were saying, Rel, but feel free to piggyback.
Okay.
Because I think about the shit all the time.
Because that's it. That's a great point, and that's actually the most honest point too. But also too, y'all, like, and this is for the comedians, y'all. Everybody missed Jokes and Notes, and Jokes and Notes was great. But towards the end, and this is me talking to Mary about this, when everybody started having all these spots everywhere, that wasn't clubs, that wasn't comedy clubs. When y'all started moving around these people trying to repeat what she's doing. Because, what happened was a lot of the loyal cats, we left. We wanted to, but, And, one of the reasons why I love Mary so much and why I love Jokes and Notes, it's more of a basketball reference, but I had a home court advantage. Like, why wouldn't I just stay at a place that's organized that I could have a home court advantage at? That I could build relationships with comics all over the fucking country, where I could have producers and fucking cast and it was my stage. That's what Bob saw me at. It was my United Center.
You're making me want to scream right now, yo. I want to say hallelujah just listening to you right now, because it's happened to even me back in Jersey. Here I am, someone that can get you to wherever, and I got people saying they can't do my show because they getting ready to do, they chasing $50 or whatever the case may be, when you don't even know who's in my audience that can take you. Like that was Jokes and Notes. Jokes and Notes was that place that it wasn't about the money, it was about what came out of it, opportunity.
And she had brought the Just for Last festival there. She did a lot. And so like, and Mary wasn't making a killing. We know this. Like we used to have business conversations with her all the time. She really did love comedy.
Right.
She was a very successful businesswoman that didn't need to have that club. But when she felt like everybody kind of was like, whatever, Mary, she was drained. And that made her walk away from it. Now, what I do like is, and this is what I love about this festival, even the comics that's here today, I think we changing the culture again when we bringing that back. That's one of the reasons why it was very important for me to come back and do this. You know what I'm saying? Just so I can like talk to y'all, or at least y'all can kind of be inspired. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to be inspired from a distance, but like for real, like just put the work in, and because it doesn't stop. Everything I learned from Knowledge and Jokes and Notes and Outriggers and all that, that's the same hustle I'm doing in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? Except I realize even some of the cats that came up before me that I look up to, that damn, I'm a better businessman than a lot of these cats.
How about that?
You know what I'm saying? Like I really am. Like even my movie stuff, like the stuff I don't want nobody to rob me or nothing. But like the stuff I negotiated was really because of the confidence I learned from dealing with a businesswoman like Mary Lindsay, dealing with a businessman like Knowledge Beckham. I learned from them. You know, so like, you know, Abby's a beast at negotiating, but if I like throw out some random shit they don't usually give people, I'm like, fuck it, let's try it, see what they say. All they can do is say no.
Right. So we're getting ready to wrap, but we have Bob here, so I had to get this off. I'm gonna see how honest Bob is. So Bob, man, you've seen everyone. Your top 4, your Mount Rushmore of stand-up comedians.
See, I'm about to date myself with that one.
That's okay.
I mean, really.
Let's do black comedians as well, because you're very versed.
Huh?
Let's do black comedians.
Black comedians.
Correct. Mount Rushmore, 4.
All right. It's kind of easy for me to say the first 2.
Okay.
Okay. And this is just mine because, again, I'm going through all of the years. And I don't know if any of you know, but I'm curator of comedy at the world famous Apollo Theater. And that's where I first saw comedy as a kid. All right. And I used to go over there with my parents. My uncle was in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's in a group called the Platters.
Oh, wow.
Singing group, yeah. And so my family my family live all up on Lenox and we used to always converge over there. So before the actual music show, they would show a film and then they would have a comedian come on stage. And I'm like 5 years old. And there was a lady named Moms Mabley. I don't think that people understand that she was the queen of comedy.
Yep.
And damn near the king of comedy back then. Nipsey and Slappy and all them, they were all trying to, follow her footsteps. So Moms Mabley actually is got the front seat.
All right.
Okay?
I love that.
And it's easy for me to say the second person. I used to see him at the Apollo as a young kid. And when he was a younger comedian, he wasn't as X-rated. But then he got to that, and he became Mudbone and all that. And that's from Peoria. That's Richard.
That's Richard. Okay.
And it's funny because with this one, it's an extension of Chicago, even though this comedian's not from Chicago, but his director was from Chicago, named Robert Townsend. All right? And that comedian on my Mount Rushmore is Charlie's brother, Eddie. Okay? because Eddie was doing things that no one had ever done. And then because I gotta keep it home and I gotta be straight up. And again, I gave Bill Bellamy that call about that dude I just saw in Atlanta who was driving a Wonder Bread truck when I met him. And you best to believe I'm putting his ass on that Mount Rushmore, and that's B Mac. That's mine. That's mine.
So
That's
as we
good.
get out of here,
That's
Rel or Sean, you got one that you want to ask Bob before we get out of here? Any question?
Yeah, I wanna ask this. With you being as exposed like to the realm of comedians that you seen back then, like if you had to make a conscious comparison, right, between the 90s brand of comedy and this generation, it kind of like rap, right? Everybody talk about the golden years and how mumble rap ain't shit. Like, is that how somebody from your perspective sees comedy? Like, do you see the 90s comedians and the 2000 comedians in 2010 and 2020? Like, do you see it consistent or do you see it different?
I dig it.
I see comedy just like I always saw it. The only difference is the platforms. You know what I mean? How can they get, I'm looking for that platform. I mean, my whole thing is if it's not broke, why try to fix it? And I'm gonna give you the example, and I was not going to speak on it, but I have to speak on it. I said to myself, if I was ever able to bring Def Comedy Jam back, I would, but it wasn't my call. So, we took that ride from 1991, aired in 92, and we stopped in 97. And that was the year when Kevin Hart won our contest, Coca Brown won our contest, Roz G won our contest. D. Ray Davis won our contest. That was gonna be the next season of Def Comedy Jam comedians, So we didn't have that opportunity to do it. So then years later, after, I was carjacked in 05, right? And after that, once I got better, we went to Aspen, and come to find out, we were bringing Def Jam back. Remember them 2 years? 1 year with DL, 1 year with Mike, right?
Yep.
So that's when I introduced the world. Nobody knew Tiffany was doing stand-up like that. It was just a showcase. Damon Wayans Jr., you know what I mean? That was a different play, but it was still the right people. You know what I mean? So I just feel that it could be done again based on what I did, traveling and stuff, and finding the veteran comedians too. It could be done, but the opportunity needs to happen. And I can't make this up, and you might laugh at this when I say this. During that time when I was going back and forth to LA and I trying to do what I did with the Laff Mobb shit and all that, it was like I'm down at the Grove, right? And the craziest thing happened. I'm at the Grove, and that little spot up there, Tony Rock sees me, right? Tony Rock comes down to me, and know what Tony said to me?
What?
He said, Bob, did you hear they bringing Def Comedy Jam back?
Hilarious.
I was like, then he realized who he was talking to. And I was like, Def Comedy Jam, come to find out, they was really making all Def Digital seem like Def Comedy Jam was coming. They had the commercial, everything, and I'm looking, nobody ain't asked me nothing about nothing, and that made me feel like, y'all think, it reminded me of when I was when I left Terminal D and went to Club 88. I learned that shit in the 80s, that they doing at Hollywood, they did the same thing, and you see how long that show lasted, right?
Yeah.
And that if I would have came in with my formula, it would have just been, and then I saw that they was even having conversations. Who's your favorite comedian? All that. I'm looking at this, and even the Def Comedy Jam, and this is stuff that I can talk about right here. Even the Def Jam 25, okay? The Def Jam 25, everybody's looking at me like I should have invited them. I was lucky to get an invite. Zendaya's father came with me. Next thing I know, everybody is going off on why they wasn't there. I barely had anything to do with it, but I can tell you this, and my business partner is here. They had called me and told me that they wanted me to come down to this studio and they wanted to interview me for a piece in that special. My piece, who basically built that shit, ended up on the cutting room floor.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just being straight up with you. I ain't beat for none of it. But to have a platform to talk about it now,
That's right.
I ain't mad at you.
right.
I love y'all.
That's right.
Can I say something real quick? I just want to say something while you sit here, like, to give flowers. The one thing that I love about you, Bob, is when we initially met through I think it was Bad Boys is the first thing.
Yeah, when I went there for a half a second.
So one
bring
thing
the
I
oil
always loved about you and what I always respected about you is it was never personal. Everybody that you picked when you did Laff, Mobb, and everything, you had the best talent collective ever, right? Me,
Thank
Rel
you.
in our prime,
Yeah.
Hot Sauce,
Well,
Ray
yeah.
Lapowski, like the roster was insane. And I really had hoped that would have done more. And I kind of understand why it didn't, because the roster was so goddamn outstanding. That was
It was deeper
scary
than that.
for a lot
It
of
was
people.
deeper than that. I could tell y'all right now, and this is crazy, because you know how, like, you take a Thanksgiving turkey, you take a Thanksgiving turkey, and then after Thanksgiving, it becomes turkey hash, it becomes turkey salad,
Right.
It becomes turkey casserole, it becomes all of that. So let me tell you what happened. Y'all need to know this story because I'd like to give you some clarification on everything. All right, I mentioned that I was carjacked, right? So I had a lot of time to think about things. So I came back, I got a call from James Dubose, and I produced a show called Comic View, One Mic Stand, hosted by Kevin Hart.
yeah.
Okay? So I was doing that show, and it was going really well, and then my father-in-law passed away. So I had to leave, right? And they tried to continue to do the show without me, like bring other comedians in, and I get a call, Bob, you gotta come back, because this thing is crazy. Because it's just the formula, you know, that I had. But with that being said, I decided that, because think about it, if I would have managed Chris Tucker, Bernie Mac, all them, I wouldn't even be having this conversation anymore. But I said, I want to now get back on the road and find some of the best comedians in the country that need their own footage. They need real tapes, because you find comedians, they wanted to get booked and do a quick set, then go in the lobby and sell their bullshit DVDs with their sets of when they were on Comic View and stuff like that. So we went to Philadelphia, PA. I found some money to shoot some specials, right? And we went down there to Philadelphia, and I had the creme de la creme down that piece. Carlos Miller, you, right? You, like, we were all down there trying to figure it out, okay? Some of them things got picked up, some of them didn't, whatever, but it was a platform.
Right.
But that platform, I go back to the Thanksgiving turkey, okay? That was just a piece of it. Another piece of that Thanksgiving turkey was taking that audio and turning that audio into clips. Corey Bell's here right now. I took a thing and created Laff, Mobb, Laugh tracks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was, the only reason it stopped because the pandemic came and everything, Time Warner, like, it was just a bad timing. But I continue to try to make things happen. And trust me, it's going to happen again. Like,
Well,
I ain't done.
Give it up, y'all. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up for Bob.
that's especially why I wanted to give you your props, because it wasn't about clicks. It wasn't about who kissed your ass. It
Don't
was
do
really who the talent was.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm grateful for that, because especially with my history, to have a person be objective with me was dope. So I
But-
appreciate you.
And that's,
Absolutely.
the other part with you guys from Chicago, you know what I mean? It's not a far cry from North. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I'm from over there, house music and all that. You know, you should have saw everybody partying the Dion in Newark. It was really a trip, right? But, the thing is, it's something about Chicago that is so close to my heart. I remember when I used to go over to the Riviera, back in the day with Worldwide West and them. Like, it's just always been, Minister Farrakhan's kids, these are my people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And George, let me tell you, George Daniels is my uncle too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Nah,
saying?
Everybody else.
So
Uncle
it's like,
George.
it's like a lot of love here. I had to be here for y'all. And hopefully things I said you took,
All right. We gotta wrap. So give it up one time for Sean Morgan, our resident comedian. Give it up for our special guest panelist today, Lil Rel Howery in the building. And please give it up if you're so inclined to come to your feet for our Chicago What's Funny Comedy Festival Icon Award winner, Bob Sumner. Thank you.
Hey, knowledge, real quick. Let's just give you some love, bro. Like you are the man putting this together. Y'all get knowledge back with some love. And just real quick, Bob, like, just hearing everything that happened with your best friend. Hopefully today you felt the flowers, felt the love, and feel that your life worth living has created opportunities for a lot of us, man. So we appreciate you. Thank you again, bro.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Real. For everybody watching, make sure that you subscribe, follow, share the podcast for everybody in the room today. If you're not following us, make sure you follow What's Funny Today Show on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. And we are signing off. Thanks again for the support. Peace.